Our esteemed speaker for this session, Mr. Nayan Parikh, is the Chief Executive Officer, that is CEO, of Nayan Parikh and Consultants, a leading consultancy firm engaged in infrastructure, project finance, and sustainable development for over 3 decades. Mr. Parikh is an IIM Ahmedabad alumnus and holds degrees in Commerce and Law from Gujarat University, combining academic rigor with commercial and legal expertise. He serves as a board director at Bhopal Smart City Development Corporation Limited and Indore Smart City Development Limited. Is on the boards of governors of various universities and is a panel arbitrator with the Indian Dispute Resolution Council, a former president of IIM Ahmedabad Alumni Association and former chairman of Textiles Committee, Ministry of Textiles, that is Government of India. He has advised the governments of Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh on infrastructure, is an HBR case author, TEDx speaker, author of 5 books, contributor to over 300 TV appearances, and founder of Lead Angels Ahmedabad, and has chaired important committees of CII, GCCI, and FICCI. Ladies and gentlemen, it is our distinct honor to invite Mr. Nayan Parikh, CEO, Nayan Parikh and Consultants, to deliver the first plenary session on innovation and sustainability on infrastructure.
Sir, we invite you to the stage, sir.
So where were we? Okay. So waste segregation, I am saying, is a key. If you don't take anything from this session, and just one thing, please take it that we have to separate waste at every household, dry, wet. And we have to carry it like that. So in Indore, there are transportation vehicles, and I'll come to that. We collaborated with IIT Indore. We collaborated with IIM Indore because we didn't know how to do it. We only knew कि हम लोगों को इंदौर को सिंगापुर बनाना है, पर कैसे बनाना है? All kind of kachra, how do you handle it, how wet, dry, and we'll come to that as I tell you the story. So, but 100% separation, and I mean that is done so well in Indore because हमारे यहाँ कचरा वाली बाई का रुतबा है ना? सफाई मित्र हमारे यहाँ in Ahmedabad, the traffic challenge that we don't get, in Indore, Safai Mitra gives that chalan for kachra. Here it is unheard of. We have not even introduced that. We have a long way to go. But I'm saying, can we do it at Shantigram tomorrow? Can we do it at Ahmedabad tomorrow? Can we start spreading it? No, collect at home. I'm saying that is a social revolution we have done every home. And I'm glad that you're asking me. Wherever you find, please, I wanted it closed because I wanted it to be more interactive. I am Ahmedabad में हम लोगों को एक ही चीज सिखाते हैं that class का burden अपने पे मत लेना. That generally, let the learning happen by so many things that you do and so many things that you talk about. So, every household would separate the kachra at their place in wet, dry, and hazardous. And that those 3 would be totally treated separately all through. They wouldn't be mixed. Someone is not doing it, then there is Safai Mitra. Then there is somebody like you who would say, क्यों नहीं किया? कल से तुम्हारा कचरा नहीं उठेगा. People would be afraid. People would say that कचरा नहीं उठा, कल को separate किया तो चालान मिलेगा आपको. And बाजू में आपके जो पड़ोसी है, she would tell you that what are you doing? You will be social media trolled. You will be accused. You will not be able to lift your head and walk there because we have a society which would not allow this. It's like you are committing a sin. So how can you go around like that? You are not a scot-free person. So I'm saying that collectively, why I started with those 2 examples are the ones where, how are people bothered? Why would they troll you if you throw some cup? How that becomes a news is because keeping it clean was a norm. And if you do anything otherwise, if you throw some litter in my house, what would I do? the moment my house definition becomes my city, what would happen? So I'm saying you are putting it in my city, you are putting it in my home. In your home, do you allow that? So in your city, why would you allow that? That bhavana has come, that feeling in all the city dwellers that it is my city. And therefore, the cleanliness is sustainable. It cannot be done just by government. It cannot be done just by policy. It cannot be done just by people's participation. It cannot be just done by technology. But when all things come together, when कुछ शुभ होने वाला होता है, तो सब चीजें इकट्ठी हो जाती है. So somehow it has happened. And I'm saying it has happened from where we can all do it. I mean, if it can happen in Indore, I mean, Madhya Pradesh was a Bimaru state. Perhaps now it has come up, but it is one of the socially, economically lower state. If they can do it, I think in Gujarat, Ahmedabad, we are very progressive. We can do it 10 times better. Well, we have not even started that journey. So, 100% separation. Because if you mix it, gone. You just can't do that. That is the first starting step. वो आपके सीनियर केजी की तरह है. वहां नहीं जाओगे तो एमबीए कर ही नहीं पाओगे. You have to start from there and go there. You may not go there by doing this also, but at least it is necessary. ये तो करना ही पड़ेगा. उसके बगैर नहीं होगा. I think let us start there. Second, door-to-door collection 100%. Every day at the given time, kachra would be picked up from your house. But if you mix, no, 3 days they'll not pick up. If you do something, which you don't put it properly, nah. In the US, whenever I go to stay with somebody, then every Thursday, if garbage is to be taken, Wednesday they kind of, get very, Thursday morning, he'll come at 7 o'clock. So Wednesday night only, let's put it and let's separate it. There is a whole event around that because that garbage is getting picked up on that. I'm saying similarly, you are all required to put your garbage in a manner which is agreed by the city, and you can be rest assured that it would be picked up if you have done that. These are all GPS monitored vehicle, so they would take the optimum route thanks to IIT Indore, thanks to IIM Indore, that we have been able to do it consistently. But I'm saying that you separate it and it would be picked up. 100% it would be picked up. At our end, I don't know in Ahmedabad whether it would be picked up regularly at a particular time, at a given thing. Maybe, maybe not. Here, whatever time is given, it would be monitored. It would be recorded. If there is any complaint that you have, we have 911, they have 311 for this. That if there is any kachra related complaint, if somebody is not picking up your garbage, if garbage is picked up but mixed somewhere, 311, and you report and it would be corrected. There is command and control center in smart city office in Indore. And to some extent, that is smart. I think in the first discussion I heard as to what is a smart city. And what is a smart city? Finally, if you are not even clean, that is basic. I mean, necessary but not sufficient. And you need so many more things, but if you are not even clean, if there was kachra here and I saw somebody picking up a flower, I think, in the first session, inaugural session, एक यहाँ फूल से पत्ता गिरा, and I think somebody who was sitting in the first row picked it up. And I said, यार सलाम, ये तो इंदौरी है. By spirit she is इंदौरी. भले यहाँ कर रही. So आपको कहीं कोई पत्ता गिर रहा है, आपको कोई कचरा गिर रहा है और आपको यहाँ कैसे लगे कि यार ये क्या कर रहे हैं, यहाँ कैसे? किसी ने बोला नहीं उनको तो. But somebody just picked up. I think that's the spirit that we have been able to inculcate there. And then then it becomes your culture. Then you do it naturally. So you can be sure that it would happen like a clockwork. Zero landfill. And let me tell you about landfill. Landfill, I don't know, yahan, in Ahmedabad, I don't know how many of you have seen piranha, big hillocks, full of, because what we do in India, 80% of garbage, all over the country, we just don't treat. I was discussing with Provost in the morning before I came here, and I told him that what we do in India is typically Indian in a way, that my house should be clean. मेरे घर में कचरा नहीं होना चाहिए. So what do? I throw it to the neighbor. Then neighbor, she would say, so I'll say, okay, I'll throw it outside in the city in one plot which is vacant. Then that person also, then I'll throw it outside a little away from this. And then we'll throw it at Pirana because we think Ahmedabad is now the city. So we'll throw it outside the city. And then that also comes within the border because we are expanding city. So then in Devnar, in Mumbai, life expectancy around the landfill goes down by 15 years. Because you live around that. You live around that landfill. You live around that garbage. You have spoiled food there. You have methane, which is 20 times more lethal than CO2. I mean, we are talking of CO2, we are talking of methane here. We just leave a pizza thing outside and then make a, in Indore, we had that. And from there we converted it into a garden, lungs of the city. Kind of, the city becomes proud of that garden. So that is kind of turning completely a thing 360 degrees. From a garbage heap, you make it the best place for people to come, socialize, eat, be proud of that this is Indore's pehchan. Zero landfill, I would come to it again when I talk about solid waste, which means that what in India is done is 80%, which means that what is our approach to kachra and garbage? That you have to throw it where you can't see it. You have to throw it as away as possible so that you don't smell it, so that you don't see it, so that you don't feel it, so that it doesn't contaminate your air immediately. But think of it that the world and universe is a naturalizer. Finally, it would all come back to you, which means that in Ahmedabad this year, I don't know how many of you have noticed, I have noticed AQI going substantially worse. So we can't just shut our eye and see that, no, kuch nahi ho raha. In Indore, AQI came half in 10 years from where it was to this. Because there is no, every garbage is treated, every kachra is treated. It is not just throwing it away. Not to a far off place, not to where I can't see, not to where it cannot hurt me, but actually converting it into something which is usable, and therefore you make it, instead of a kachra, instead of a garbage, you make it a resource. So it's no longer, somebody finds it a resource for whatever that person is doing, and you convert that into that. So, no landfill. And that's a huge, huge achievement. And we'll come to it later as to AQI getting half from where it was. Clean water bodies. Because what do we do? Other than landfill, what do we do with our garbage? We put it in a river. We put it in a lake. We'll put it in a water body. Because that is where, it would contaminate the water bodies there, which would contaminate our own water quality. So the moment we did that, there was clean water bodies. And like she said, we are talking of Singapore. I felt so good because the last point is that some of people and media call it Singapore of India. That Indore has become Singapore of India because our approach is what Singapore's approach is towards kachra. Let's come to wet waste. Indore generates about 1,300 tons of waste per day. 650 tons out of that is wet. Remaining is dry. What do we do of wet? It's taken there and taken to Asia's largest. I'm not talking of India's largest. Asia's largest bio-CNG gas plant. I'm talking of CNG. I am at an Adani complex. I mean, Adani are the kings of CNG and gas. We convert that into gas. So the wet waste that comes becomes gas there, and we generate 20 tons per day of gas, which is used by Indore Municipal Corporation buses, which is used by vehicles which transport this garbage. So it's a circular economy that you see. You put that garbage, becomes gas, you use it in your vehicle and have clean air and clean transportation. So that circular economy is what we have been able to achieve by that, and 100 tons per day becomes biofertilizer, and which is again taken by nearby farmers, used for Indore Municipal Corporation gardens. I'm saying again in Shantigram, can we decide that from tomorrow we'll not buy any fertilizer? Because we generate our own waste. Why do we need to buy fertilizer? I talked about that to IIM Shillong. I am also talking about that to IIM Ahmedabad, that let's not buy any fertilizer. Well, no fertilizer hoega nahi. Whatever I have, I'll convert that into that. Which means that I'll have to separate, I'll have to generate that, I'll have to have a small plant. But these are all, we would have maybe 10,000 people living here. So we have sufficient garbage to have a small plant where we convert it into gas which is used by us, which is circular economy in action. Dry. What happens to dry? Dry about 550 tons per day. It goes to what we call MRP, Material Recovery Plant, which is an automated plant. And first it separates into size, small, medium, large kind, you know. Small yahan, medium yahan, large. That large, medium and small, after the size, it would go in what kind of material it is. Is it rubber? Is it plastic? There would be 15 categories of materials which it would be separated into. And then given back to the people for whom this is resource, which means that plastic would go there, steel would go there, metal would go there, rubber would go there, tire would go there. So each material out of this 15 would go to its own source, you know, wherever it came from or wherever it can be utilized, which means that I don't litter anywhere. It would be used by somebody and somebody would be waiting for that. When that truck comes, his factory would run. So that circular economy in action. And there is one last category, which is out of these 15, if it doesn't fall into any category, and I was happy when Mr. Baheti was talking in the morning, it all goes in cement plants. In cement plants, we use the material as fuel, whatever is not recyclable. But I don't throw it. I don't create piranha. I don't create a heap of garbage. It is given to somebody who would use it. And for whom, I mean, he can have his clinker plant running on this. So somebody who finds this very, very, very useful. And therefore kind of, you know, he values that. For him, it is not garbage. For that, it is not kachra. For them, it kind of works. Ten years back, flashback. 14, the new Prime Minister came. Then he announced Swachh Bharat. Indore was the first city somehow. And I'll talk, there was a Sarfira officer. And he was Indore Municipal Corporation Commissioner. And he got a political boss who was equally Sarfira. And both of them decided, yaar, isko badalte hain. And kuch karte hain. But then, it would at times have voters problem, ye wo. So, they approached the chief minister कि इनको 5 साल नहीं बदलेंगे. Do you want something clean? So this officer, you would hear a lot of complaints about. People would tell you, ये तो कचरा वाले भाई को बादशाह बना देता है, हम लोगों को परेशान करता है, कचरा नहीं उठाता है, चलान देता है, परेशान करता है. ये तो इंदौर का सत्यानाश कर देगा. And then, कुछ नहीं. बोले, you trust this officer, he can do it. He is passionate about it. He is a little pagal about it. He would do it. Whatever it takes, he would do it. Yeah, he would do it. Then you would protect him for a while. So you can make him Indore Municipal Commissioner. From there, you can make him a collector. But he would be in Indore looking over this arrangement for a while, up to the time it gets into our DNA. And then it's okay. And we'll come to that. So in 2015, AQI was 160. Dry and wet separation was almost not there. I think similar to what we are today as a city. Door-to-door collection was only 5-10% here and there happening, sometime not, some Sunday, Chutiya, Diwali, then it would not be picked up. Cleanliness ranking, they were 149th. From there to the first. But that, when it started, was that 90%, like all India average, was going to landfill, which means what do? We put the garbage and throw it out of the city, thinking our task is over. My city is clean. My home is clean. I don't care. It's far away. I don't see it. So it doesn't exist for me. And there was a huge landfill, a garbage heap, and had its own kind of, it was ugly, diseases, smell, and people were tired. And the nearby people, their life expectancy came down by 10-15 years because they had to put up with that. And they were complaining and all ho-ha about it. That was Indore. And then the Sarfira officer comes. And suddenly, like, in a film that hero की entry होती है, and सब कुछ एकदम धूम धड़ाके से शुरू हो जाता है. He said that I would not tolerate this. And he said, I am going to change that. And he said that I am going to make Indore the cleanliest city. And it all looked like a dream, somebody coming and talking, an IAS officer, but would it happen? And people had, of course, disbelief, skepticism, would not happen. He did it in 1 or 2 wards out of 85 wards of Indore. And it worked, it did work to an extent. He took help of IIT and IIM, both Indore-based institutes. And I'll, in the next slide, tell you as to how both of them contributed. And Indore's contribution is that they, after this, conducted leadership program, which means a new mayor, a new municipal commissioner, a new collector, a new deputy municipal commissioner would have that leadership program where he would be made aware about this. He would be made a part of that. He would know as to how to sustain and take waste management to next level. So not only that it happened once, but to institutionalize it, whatever was required, IIM Indore gave a big help for that. They also, though that commissioner was very, very passionate, he didn't know. He was an IAS officer, but he didn't know. So people would say, how would we separate? There is problem. What would we do of this material? What kind of sorting plant do we do? It would cost so much. And therefore, the best technology in the world, IIM Indore did the conferences. Like I think Adani University is doing today, of knowledge sharing. We don't know, but we are ready to do it. So we go to the best and tell them, you come here. I think we have somebody coming from Tanzania who would come and tell us as to what are his experiences. Somebody would maybe next time come from Singapore and tell us what are his experiences. And in that exchange, we learn and we know. And I am glad somebody had asked that question as to, how is your city being smart? So by our curiosity, that I want to know as to how you do it. And if you can do it, why can't I do it? So IIT and IIM Indore in material recovery, what kind of composition would work? How much methane? How would you handle it? There was complete collaboration, which means that he didn't do it alone. He just roped in other people who are more knowledgeable, who are technically more savvy, who had more time to do research, who were doing this kind of programs of knowledge sharing. And IIT and IIM's contribution was, I think, as much important as people's participation was, because people took it on them. People would create a pressure group, which means that your child would tell you that, ye kaise phek sakte ho aap? If your child tells you, every home has in a way a Safai Mitra. Because if you throw something and your child tells you, Mummy, ye kyun? Then you will not do it. That pressure group was created in every household, in every ward, in every neighborhood. That people would not just allow littering, which means that I go there and if I throw something there, the thelawala would give me a cup of tea, but if I throw somewhere, he'll say, it's medalo. As it happened in Sri Lanka, if Sri Lanka can do it, and my driver would not drive more than 95 kilometers because my speed limit in Sri Lanka on that highway was 100 kilometers. So 95 was his cruise control. And he would just not budge. If there is whatever empty road, nothing. He says 95 is 5 kilometers less than 100. If Sri Lanka could do it. And no honking. And no lane changing. I mean, road traffic so much better than ours. And in Indore again, next up thing that we want to do is perhaps look at traffic and make the traffic the best. But can we do it in Ahmedabad? Because we have Commonwealth happening in 2030. And Commonwealth, and I heard here, would have 11 days of chum. But I am saying that Glasgow, whenever Commonwealth happened there, got its tourist flow jumped by 35%. And that would stay there forever. Otherwise, 11 days, whatever you do is only temporary. But if we make this city good, if we make this city clean, if we make this more livable, if we make our traffic more enjoyable, then maybe the people would keep coming. Commonwealth would be our showcase to the world. As to, this is what we can do. So why don't you come and see and visit Ahmedabad and give boost to our economy. Otherwise, it will be just one chum and over. No, we're not looking at that. I think we need to start today. We are 5 years ahead, and who knows, 2035, 36, we have Olympic coming. We need to work and gear up, and I think make the most out of that opportunity. Otherwise, it would be just one event, one flip, and then we come back to our own level. No. We want to take that benefit for our economy to do better forever. And that would happen if we prepare ourselves. If we say that tomorrow I'll not throw anything. Tomorrow I'll have a city which is clean. That garbage is something different, that I treat it in a different manner. That if these people can do it, we can do it also. Yes, please. But anybody else also? I think we know we may not have question answer session. We will have questions like this also. No, no, please. Sure. She says, I don't know if you could hear. She says that how do you change people's behavior? So if there is answer, please. And I think she also. Please, please, please. She would answer, and then perhaps, why don't you come in the front? यहाँ front वालों को तो क्या immediately question पूछने की आज़ादी है. So that's why I want people in the front.
So they said if you do not segregate your dry and wet waste, per house will be charged $1,000. So the moment the collector comes home to their flat, he or she collects all the waste. And if there are no segregation done between wet and dry waste, 1,000 rupees, that time he will give you the receipt and he'll take 1,000 rupees from you.
Chalan,
so that
there.
moment, immediately there was penalty on all the houses in Mumbai. So there are 3 flats, so Oberoi Constructions, I'm aware, so my family, a few of my relatives stay there. They said they were careful with the guests also. So the children, when they come up, they say, be careful while you're throwing dust because 1,000 will be charged to us. So the moment penalty is there, financial penalty is there, people will be on.
She is talking of one pillar, which is not the only pillar. But she is talking of one pillar. She says stick. You might come to carrot later, but stick to jail hai. Or you wouldn't have to do it for long. Then people would take it up. आपको करने की भी जरूरत नहीं है. आपको जिंदगी भर थोड़ी करते रहेंगे. How many police we would have? For 32 lakh Indorians, do you have 3 lakh police? No. There would be less and less offenders, and every time that there is an offender, like if you are doing that, these 2 people would not allow you. No, I'll not allow you. Because police to kitna kar legi? Police ke alawa, everybody is a police. In case of cleanliness, everybody is a police. You just can't throw. I think as you would have seen in the US, as I saw it in Sri Lanka, that my driver is my police. He won't stop on the way. I'll tell him, urgent hai yaar, bahut pani piya hai. Na. Wait up to the time I'll take you there. I said, no, good tip. He said, tip, kuch nahi. Tip to dena hai, iske liye nahi. He'll not go above 100. He says, I said, but we'll get late. Huh? He said, but then we should have started. And he would come exactly at that time, but not drive more than 95. That's the DNA. But I think she wanted to.
Yes, sir. So, my husband and my son is 6-year-old, and we were traveling from Ahmedabad to Patan, which is 2 hours from here. We were on the highway. And from Ahmedabad, he picked up something to eat, and he was sitting ahead with my son with a seatbelt. Now, khane ki item thi obviously, so he was eating it, and then he was not able to finish it. So he told my husband started freaking out, like, Mari gaadi bagdi jaise tu pagal thi gyo chhe ya dhode chhe. He was telling to my 6-year-old son, okay, the dad. And my son slowly, he told my husband ke kaach niche karo, and literally, sir, I was amused. He said, sorry Modi ji, and he threw that out. Now, I wanted to laugh, I could not laugh, I was shocked. So I have written a paper when he was not even born in 2015, communicating rationally about Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, which was published. Now maybe he was there later on in my body, so he took that from me. But I was shocked. And then I asked him, I said, Shivansh, where did you get this from? You know, you were like, because we do something wrong, we say, sorry, God. And he literally closed his eyes and he said, sorry, Modi ji, because my dad is getting furious, I'm throwing this out. So I asked him, Ke tane kya thi khabar padi? So he said, now my husband is a corporator now. And he said that when I was going with dad for elections, he was just 3 years that time. And he said, Modi ji kidhu che ki you have to clean the city. Okay, to apne kachro bahar nahi fekwano. Now I was doing something wrong. He realized that he's doing something wrong, and hence he said sorry. So yeah, so I think the youth, the kids, the youngsters, if they take this very seriously, we will not need anybody to, they take this very seriously that, this is actually wrong. We should not throw things. And now he has kept a dustbin in every car. He's made a small dustbin. and it's there in every car. So he's like, emergency ma papa, now if I want to throw something, you and mom should not fight, and I will put it in the dustbin. So this is something that we started in our house. And then now there is an emergency. Now my husband is a corporator, and he also tells everyone, please keep a dustbin in your car so that, you know, your kids can actually throw anything that is an emergency, litter or something, and then you can go home and clean it up. So this is what we started in Patan. Thank you, sir.
Do that, but anybody who would want to share similar experience. But I think it needs to happen here. You know, what is good, what is moral is something which is your right to do, but it is not right for you to do.
It's very, very
There was
good.
no need for, you know, if I throw something here, it is my right. Legally, आप क्या कर लोगे मुझसे? कुछ भी कर सकते हो. But not right here, it hurts me here for me to throw this. I think the moment we make it that, the moment we make it our own personal mission, then I'm glad for this opportunity where I feel even if there is one mind, one thought process which can change, I think we would have begun somewhere. So, अंधेरा घना है पर दिया जलाना कहाँ मना है. तो आई थिंक हम लोग तो दिया जलाते हैं. आई थिंक सबसे दिया जलाते हैं हम लोग कि कहीं ना कहीं कोई रोशनी जा जाए, कहीं कोई अंधेरा चला जाए. बट यू आर राइट, देयर इट्स डिफिकल्ट. आई थिंक द मोस्ट डिफिकल्ट फॉर अस टू चेंज इज व्हाट? आवर ओन सेल्व्स, आवर ओन हैबिट्स. वी आर आवर हैबिट्स. And how do we change that? And how do we collectively create a pressure where we do that? It's like even if it was very convenient to you, advantageous, you will not kill her, right? Because that's a big sin for you. I think, how do we make this a big sin? How do we make somebody who picked up in the morning in the inaugural session? I mean, nobody needs to tell anybody. You would do it yourself because आपके अंदर कुछ खनक रहा है. That's why you do it. So I think that is the transformation that we need in all of us to make this happen. But yes, Dr. Parikh.
I just want to add something. Always wondering, every time I am driving in, especially in Ahmedabad, Bombay was not so bad as Ahmedabad is. Every time when I am going home from here, always I find 3 or 4 vehicles coming on the opposite wrong side. So don't have that kind of energy. So I mean, and I know like in the past, whenever I used to do that, I always had some bad experience, like some rowdy fellow will come and, you know, start shouting, who am I to tell them anything, you know, they are free to do whatever they want to do. And so really, I really do not know how the mindset of the people can be changed. And, you know, this is something, really, it is a question mark.
No, but carry in second. I think somebody there, please. At the back.
It's not only that the penalizing is there.
No.
In the Indore, there is a incentivization is also there. Because in the initial time, Avantika Gas and this municipal corporation of Indore, they make a tie-up that the best societies get a 10% discount on the CNG. So when the society, whole society guys, they get the card from this Avantika Gas from their stations. A cost of a CNG is approx over there is 88 rupees. And that a discount of 8 rupees on per kg. That is a huge one. So that's 10%. Why that type of incentive they are providing to the societies particularly. And it's not only for the 1 or 2 guys, they are providing for 100 to 1,000 guys over there.
So it's that carrot and stick, and I would come to that later, but I'm glad that you did that, because you know, instead of my saying it, I think when you say it, it looks better. But you and you then. Yeah, we'll come to that. That how do we handle that part? Please. Yes.
Since we are buying everything online, we are used to that, it became our day-to-day life. Instead of using using something which is not usable and then going for reproduction and all, we can minimize using that. But by buying online, even a small thing has a package. And for one lunch, we get this much of things, and we all are used with that. So
For 1
what is
gram,
your
we give
observation?
10 gram of packaging. Okay.
Yes,
I
sir.
think
What
very
is your
interesting.
observation on
I
that?
would share with you on that. Last week, I was at IIM Ahmedabad for a conference which was on AID, Accelerating India's Development, and how academic institutes can play a role. I would share with you a report which is done by IMA professors and a research scholar on how they reduced packing material of online purchasing by 90%, because they feel that, so they did the study, how much of air, how do you transport, how can you cut the packaging material without compromising on the quality of product that you would get, things like that. So, but there are interesting things happening there. And I was very impressed by their findings. I would share that with you as to how packaging costs need to be reduced. And we are working at it. And there are various IMA professors and bright minds who are working at it. So the problem, I like your being perceptive to it, and there are people working on it. And I think soon we would start seeing, instead of this much thing, you know, for this, we are shrinking it. Yes.
So I just like to add, like Indore, I think a lot of cities have incentivized, and city governments, at least in Mumbai and Delhi, they have through advanced locality management programs and things like that, the city governments have collaborated with housing societies and incentivized the management of waste. I
Sure,
think that
as she said,
mentioned.
yes.
Yes. Could I also sort of want to know something more about how do you sustain this movement? Because
Very
you
good. I
have
think
a
we'll come to that,
champion.
but I'm glad that you have
Yeah.
something to say on that as to how to
Yes,
sustain also, please share that.
uh,
And then I'll share what, but I think
so maybe
what
I'll-
Indore has done is not important. What are our thoughts on that? Because maybe you will give some new thought which we can use at Indore. So please share your thoughts.
No,
And
so that you could
what,
have a champion
like a typical
once.
case study in IIM Ahmedabad,
yeah.
the way we solved it is not important.
Right.
The way you are going to solve, you know, or your suggestion are very important. So please share that.
No, so I just wanted to know a little more on that in
Sure.
the sense that, you know, you could have a champion once, but how do you keep that, you know, movement and get
Sure.
it into the system?
I would share what we did, but I think you can, if you have any suggestion or whatever question is thrown at me is perhaps, you know, consider that is thrown at everybody. So if somebody has an answer on it, you know, I would do a little less and kind of, you know, more answers
Hello,
would
sir.
emerge.
I am Mukesh. I came from Himachal Pradesh, Hamirpur. So the case that you have discussed with Indore, that AQI you have discussed that 80, and I have seen the density of the Indore area for 2011. It was 800, and now I'm talking about the Himachal Pradesh, which is in 2011. The density was 400 per square kilometer, which is half of Indore city. Himachal Pradesh, I'm concerned about the Hamirpur district that has developed these kind of practices like segregation of the dry waste and wet waste at the house level. They are doing it, and why their AQI is double than Indore city, even the density is less than
So
Indore.
AQI, again, I mean, we are a little on a different thing, but I think AQI is something which is close to my heart, and I wanted to anyway talk about that. So I'm glad that you asked that. In AQI, there are, I mean, it's a very well-known fact. AQI, what is it that contributes? Number one factor is burning. Burning of coal, burning of wood, burning of anything that you do at home. And in colder places, even in Delhi, you would be surprised that how burning is used to keep the houses warm. And I suspect that even in Himachal Pradesh, that would be the case. And especially in November, December, January, it would go up because of the winter. Because unlike other countries and developed countries where they would use gas, and I hope Adani does something about that because they are in gas and they would make it available perhaps in some way so that it makes sense and it creates a win-win. Can we keep our houses warm and can we use for cooking only and only clean fuel? If we do that, that is number one factor. Second is power plant. So we would need to study your particular case. But second is contribute as power plant using coal. And as we saw that is kind of, you know, a major polluter. And second is factories which are using coal as fuel. They are the second contributor after the burning. And third is transportation. The more we move around, the more we use petrol and diesel, we do that. So even electric, I feel, we are only shifting from our car to the plant. So far as it's a coal plant, we are only shifting pollution from my exhaust of the car to the power plant at some remote location. But we are essentially like our landfill, kachra we are throwing where we can't see it. So actually solution is renewable energy. But these three are the largest contributor to AQI, and I feel we all know that, and we need to find answers together. And also in cities like Ahmedabad, where we see it sharply going up, landfills. And what do you do of kachra? It is very common for people to burn it, so that at least size. So the moment we do that, we spoil the air by burning that. But anybody else who wanted to make a point, or we move ahead with my script? Okay, so, and somebody who's keeping track of time, or, So how many minutes are left, or you would keep the track of time so that, because, 10 more minutes, okay, good, fast forward then. Thanks. Challenges ahead. So, challenges were faced was what, up to the time city embraced the idea, but media, public policy, implementation, all that needed to be there, which means media, which would support, would create awareness. In school and colleges, you bring that change, where people would say, no, we need to do that. Workforce availability and management of that was a challenge, I think, because 10 minutes I would not go in detail. I'll just take you through the remaining part. And sustaining that operations of that scale. But also sustaining was done because I am Indore's program we embraced, where now the moment new commissioner and collector comes, he would go through that program as to how to sustain that. He would be shown that this is a holy cow. Ulko isko touch nahi karne ka. 8 saal se, and now there is a burden of, if you win consecutive 8 World Cups, then a team can't lose it, because India has to win all the World Cups. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now you can't lose. So there is always a burden and also responsibility on the new mayor, on the new commissioner, on the new collector, on all the new teams. And we train them also as to why it is important, how we need to sustain it. If we don't sustain it, we would have big fall. And then, every Indorean, 32 lakh people would lose if you don't have a clean city. Now it's taken for granted. Now winning it doesn't get us anything, but losing, then we feel we have lost everything. So I feel that we also treasure it and feel it is so valuable like that. So received clean 8 awards. In fact, next time you might think of some other award that they are thinking for Indore, which is some super clean city or. Only in 5 minutes, innovation and sustainability, because that is the topic. What is innovation? And I'm glad that it's happening here. Innovation is whatever you call now Parivartan, which has these 5, and each one we had in Indore. And for maybe some other time, or if I can do it in a workshop form, then we have a half a day to discuss this and hear a lot of suggestions from you. But curiosity, collaboration, creativity, and we had a lot of creativity. We were doing it for the first time in India. There were many challenges, and we fell, and then we got up again, and then we fell and got up again and did things. Constraint removal, there were constraints at every point. Of course, people's mindset was the major constraint that we did, but also the budget, also the policy, also the people, and customer-centric. Finally, how are you serving people of Indore? How each Indorean enjoys this benefit of cleanliness? How each Indore Vasi is breathing cleaner air, getting cleaner water, walks on cleaner street, has no garbage around, has no landfill sites from where you have methane and CO2. You have in fact a garden where you can go and which is lungs of Indore. What is sustainability? I think she rightly said that you do it once also, but can you sustain it? So sustainability in a sense is what we do for the next generation, sthirta. That ek baar to kar liya aapne, par kar paoge? Would you get 8 awards in consecutive fashion? Would you be able to hand over a planet which is as good or better than what I got from my parents? That is my responsibility to the next generation. That is my responsibility to the students, young generation, Gen Z who are here. That am I giving a planet which is much worse than what I got? How can I take my today's need more carefully, handle it, but provide for tomorrow's thing? It is like people like us, I think, Dr. Parikh or I, who would have a habit of spending a little less than what we were earning, because we thought that some other day there would be some rainy day, I might need my money. Now, next generation, my daughter would spend her future income also. because she would take EMI and she would say that I want to leave today, so I would take my car even if or iPhone 17 I have to have in first 17 days because, though it might take EMIs, it's okay. So I'm saying that as a citizen, I ask myself, am I using earth resources which belong to yours, which belong to Gen Z, which belong to young people, and I'm overusing that and living a planet which was worse than what I got? That is sustainability. When you feel that you have responsibility towards spending resources of the world in a responsible manner, in a manner where you feel, though it is your right to spend it as you want, spoil air as you want, is it right for you to do that? And whether it hurts you when you make the world a little worse place than what you got. Long-term well-being of planet, environment, social equity, and economic viability. I'm talking of economic viability, not just financial viability. Not just the money, but and we always look at the cost and money for keeping our environment clean, but we don't know as to what is the cost if we don't do it. We need to look at that the cost of doing is this, but cost of not doing it is 10 times bigger. How can we do it in Ahmedabad? And that's again another topic. How can we start at Shantigram? We are here, and I think we are at the best place to do this. How do we do it? I'm talking to 3 campuses. I would like to talk here also as to, let's do it. Yeah. Otherwise, it's just a talk. I mean, I felt good talking to all of you, obviously. Maybe somewhere some mind shifted. But when you see actual results, when you see a different Ahmedabad, when you see a different Shantigram, then what you get in terms of satisfaction, in terms of joy, in terms of, in just terms of blossoming. I mean, आप खिल जाते हो यदि आप ऐसा कुछ करते हो जिससे long term कोई फर्क हो जाता है, जिससे my daughter and her daughter would have a better planet, better city, better environment, better air, better water. How do we make that work? With that question, thank you so much for all your attention. Enjoyed it completely.
Thank you, Mr. Parekh, for such an insightful and inspiring address. Your reflections has given us an idea about strategic directions, ethical grounding, and handling management challenges efficiently. You have reminded us that sustainable infrastructure is not merely about building assets, it is about building responsibility, resilience, and relevance into future we envision. Now we open the house for the questions from the audience. So now we would like to call Dr. Riya Mehta, faculty at Adani University, to felicitate Mr. Nayan Parikh. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.